looking at H7 and H8, check those answers. Some of you on your quiz yesterday, you didn't label, like you didn't put the A, B, C, the P prime, and B double prime. That is going to be key to what you are looking at. So page 22 is what we are looking at. So after today, going into H9, 10, this is when we're going to do the reverse, kind of like those last few problems. This one is going to be kind of when we take our test. Not the quiz tomorrow. The quiz tomorrow is going to be where you have to draw all of them. But in this question where I ask you, what transformation is happening in the graph? And when you are writing this, you always want to start with your subject. So if you think with the subject, then you want to go with the verb. And then we want to take like our predicate that we're looking at, then we're going to have a verb. And so kind of like writing a sentence in English. So if it asks you what transformation is happening, what did we start with?
Reflection.
So wait, what was our shape? So we want to say triangle what? DEF?
Yeah.
And then the verb is that we reflected. So please write this in your notes. DEF reflected over which axis? Y or X?
Y.
Over the Y. So we can see the Y is here, and it looks like it's the same distance from that Y, so over the Y axis. That gave us our new shape. So that was kind of what we did. So this was our verb. We reflected over the Y axis. Now we want to continue. Then we took, again, we're kind of looking at our subject. Now we're taking triangle D prime, E prime, F prime. Sometimes I don't need you to write this. You could just say then. Then what happened? What did we do from this E prime, and I'm going to tell you as you look at these points. So some of you on those last couple homework questions, you have just put the answers. And I think some of you have looked in the back, which is okay, and some of you have looked at it, but if I look at point D prime is located at -2, 0. D double prime is located at -3, 0. And if we're doing a dilation, these are easier to look at than E. If I look at E prime, that's located at 1, 4. Where is E double prime? Take a look at yours on your paper. Tell me where E double prime is. Make sure you write these right below. Where is E double prime? It's like, it's not at 1, right? Where it's -1, I don't know if it's 1.5, -1.6, right? It's kind of hard to tell. We could estimate, where do we think? -1.6, maybe -1.5, -1.6, and then up to 6. Now, to me, this is a lot harder maybe to get my dilation, but to get a dilation, you are going to take the new point, okay? So we can tell that we are dilating, but we need to know the factor. And what you're always going to do to find this factor K, to find this, you're going to take the new and divide it by the old. So 3 divided by 2, what are we multiplying by? What's 3 divided by 2?
1.5.
And someone said, well, do we have to take -3 divided by -2? You can, but negative divided by -1.5. So it's getting 1.5 times larger. Now, sometimes I'm just going to ask you what happened, and you want to just say reflected and dilated. That would be okay. But when we get to the test on this unit, which will be next week on Thursday, right before we go have Friday off, you're going to have to give this part of it also, okay? So, instead of doing all of these, I just want you to take a look at what's happening. We're not going to do this one. I just want you to take a look. So, if you are reading this, please read, Nolan.
Rotate the triangle 90 degrees around the origin, and reflect that image over the y-axis. Finally, dilate the newest image by a scale factor of 0.5.
Okay, before we even draw it, is it going to be congruent or similar? Congruent means same size, same shape. This means same shape, different size. It is going to be what, Jordan? Congruent or similar? Is it going to be the same size? it's gonna be similar, right? This one has to be similar. When we look at similar, it's because it's gonna be smaller, right? But the same shape. So even before I graph it, because of the size scale factor of 0.5, it's getting smaller. So please write that down if you didn't. And we're going to talk about the orientation. Now, when we do your homework, and we're going to actually do one from lesson H8 instead of doing all of these in our notes, because then you have to do 5 on H8. But I just want you to think about the congruent and similar on each of these. We're not going to do this orientation part. We're going to talk about that later. Remember, orientation, the main thing that changes it is a reflection. So we have one reflection going A, B, C, D, that's counterclockwise, right? Reflected over the y-axis, that means it's going to show up first over here. Then it says we're going to dilate it, so then we make it bigger or smaller over here. So it's similar. Does our orientation change on this one? Should be yes. One reflection is always going to change it to the opposite. One reflection will switch the orientation. Okay? And instead of doing this for all of these, we are going to take a look at doing some in our homework. Take a look at this one. I want you to read through. We are going to dilate this shape, 2.5, rotate it 180, then translate it. I want you to write down the word congruent or similar, and I want you to tell me switch orientation or same. Do that right now. When we are looking at that one. And our reason, Ashley, would be what? Yeah, size change right away. K equals 2.5. It's getting bigger. Orientation. What would we say about orientation, Riley? What do you think? It's going to stay the same, right? If we are looking at this and our reason, no reflections. If we have a reflection, that's when we are going to switch that orientation around, okay? Instead of doing this one, what I would like for you to do is turn to your H8, your homework, the ADC. After I've plotted that first one, I am now going to rotate it -90. Now, here's the deal on the quiz tomorrow. I am not going to have all of these up here. So, when you go -90, you might want to put down something like this on your quiz tomorrow. -90 degrees. And then you might want to put which way is that going, clockwise or counter? -90. Counter going negative. It's just the opposite of what we think. It goes clockwise. So up here, -90. So then I'm going to put down my rule. X comma y is going to change to, and again, I don't have my notes and I'm not going to have this up on the board. So knowing if it's clockwise or counterclockwise, I want to put that down with the arrow pointing. That means I'm going to switch the order, y, -x. So it might be helpful now to list those points. A prime was -1, 3. Dan is now going to be
-1, 3 would be,
so the y comes first, which will be
3,
3. And then the opposite of our x will be
3, 1.
3, 1. So I'm going to go to 3, 1, and I want to think, does that look like a rotation? If I think of this as my A prime, does it look like we rotated it 90 clockwise? It does. So now I'm going to do B prime. Sam, B prime is going to be located where with this new rule? Where'd you say? So it's going to be 1 stays the same, and then opposite of -2, which will be 2. So B is now going to be at 1, 2. So here's my new B prime. Okay. Next one I am taking a look at is my C prime. Olivia, C prime is going to be 2, -3. So I'm going to go to 2 and down to -3. Which it now looks like that red figure. So one of the things on the test, some people like to label all these points and put them on the quiz tomorrow. Some people like to give me these points. I definitely want to see your points, okay, when you are looking at them. So we now want to switch, and we are now doing our next step that says, oh, we got to do a dilate it with a scale factor 3. So I'm going to dilate with scale factor 3. I'm going to put down what I'm doing. Dilate. K equals 3. That means xy changes to 3x, comma, 3y. So Patrick, I'm using those same points. My A prime, A double prime is going to be
9 and 3.
9 and 3. My B double prime, Nolan, is going to be,
it would be 6.
wait, 3, it's 1, 2. Gotta go to this point.
Could be 3.
3 and
6.
6. My C double prime, Joe, is going to be 6, negative 9. I'm now going to plot that. So I'm going to go over to 9, right? 3. I'm going to be at 3, 6. So that was A double. I'm going to be at 3, 6. So each time when you are doing this on the quiz tomorrow, this is kind of what your quiz will look like. So you're going to look at 3, 6 that we are plotting. Using that nice straight edge, and then 6 and negative 9. Last step, Aaron tells us to do what? Rotate 180. I'm going to do this last one in purple. So this is going to be, so this was my step 1, this was step 2. My step 3 is going to be rotate 180 degrees, which the rule for that, Aaron, is xy changes to negative x, negative y. My hint is put the rule before you do it when you're taking the quiz tomorrow, right? So each of these, so this would be 3, 6, 9 points on the quiz tomorrow, right? And then I'm kind of doubling it because it's going to be a 30-point quiz instead of 15 points. So I'm now looking at my A double prime, A triple prime. That, it was 9, 3, it's now going to be negative 9, negative 3. I had some people thinking they should switch these two around. Only flipping the y and x when it's 90 positive or 90 negative. So if I'm thinking of that, this point, if we are looking at A, has to come all the way down here, which that makes sense. Negative 9, negative 3. My new point, A triple prime. B triple prime, if I am looking at it, Rowan should be?
Triple prime should be negative 3 and negative 6.
Yep. And Abby, if I'm looking at C triple prime? Negative 6 and positive 9. So that when I look at your answer, I am going to see all of these points of negative 3, negative 6, and negative 6, and positive 9. So this would be kind of what, and then this is where I'll have some people, because some of you have liked using your highlighters, might highlight that this is my final answer, right? These are the points I'm looking at for the final answer, okay? So